our chat and frag. My name is MtPain27. This is Endless and Doomkid joining me. I'm taking my turn introducing the chat and frag because Doomkid is a little bit spazzy with his intros.
Dude, no, that you cannot blame that on me.
I sure can. I've got 10 deaths already. It's horrible. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, guys. You should probably talk. I will.
No, it's fine. No. Yeah.
Chaos is part of the fun.
So let's let Endless introduce himself as well.
Okay. Hello, I'm Endless. Some of you guys may know me as the creator and writer of the Doom Master WADazine, and I'm a big Doom fan. Been watching both Doomkid and MtPain for a while, and I'm quite happy to be here today on this podcast.
Oh, it's good to have you, man. Yeah, so
I'd love to hear from Endless because I know of the WADazine. I've been reading it on and off for the last, I guess, year and a half, maybe 2 years actually. Did you start it in 2020? Do you want to give us a little background of when the WADazine came into being and what gave you the idea to start it?
Sure. So the WADazine is quite new compared to the rest of the community. So, the community is almost 3 decades old at this point, and the WADazine is actually going to be 2 years old this July. So, in a few weeks. It actually came inspired by the New Stuff Chronicles. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I mean, no, Doomkid knows it.
yeah.
So, for some little context, the New Stuff Chronicles was like a periodic roundup of Doom news about WADs, where people will make submissions, they will review a WAD, then somebody will join all these reviews into a single thread post and he will post it. The new stuff used to be weekly, then it became monthly, and then it died. So when it died, I got a little bit sad because I actually enjoyed a lot reading about it. I always liked the idea of, constant content in the form of written reviews, so I wanted to create something similar. Plus, I really enjoy a lot of old school magazines, like PC Gamer, back when they used to make physical magazines.
Oh yeah.
I always enjoyed that.
Stuff like Nintendo Power.
Oh yeah, exactly like that. Those magazines used to be full of amazing content. Sometimes it was pretty wacky, very fun. Game journalists used to have this weird humor. And I really enjoyed the way they did it, so I thought it would be great to have something like that for my favorite game. So the idea came, and I just get to work. That's pretty much how the WADazine came to be. The first edition actually was made using only MS Word and Paint. That was all the skills I had. Yeah, you remember, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. You messaged me when it was still very early beta, basically.
Oh yeah, I remember I didn't even have a logo back then. I just used the regular Doom font and pretty much copy-pasted, and that was it. First issue out of the window.
Who were some of the first folks you got to write for you?
I think one of the very first persons I actually got to contact about this was Doomkid.
Yeah.
He was since he was everywhere, I just sent him a message and I thought, hell, maybe he'll like it. And yeah, he did.
Yep.
You also became one of our first hosts back when the WADazine didn't have its own website.
Oh yeah, man. I loved it because the idea of, like you said, those old gaming magazines, there's just something, every page having almost like a slightly different visual style, or every section like having a different colored background or something behind the text, and the boxes that the text is contained. It gives a layer of personality to the article itself, and of course you know that.
And the very funny and immature jokes they will do. There was this idea that back then in the 90s, right? Nerds were like these little kids with I don't know, they just never get out of the house, stuff like that. You know, the typical cliche of a nerd kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the magazines wanted to break out this whole persona. They wanted to make nerds look like very buff guys, like guys that could go in parties and stuff like that.
Rockstar nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly like that. I think one of the very first ones that actually helped that idea was Romero.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah,
he
for
was.
sure.
Yeah, he was like the hero of nerds back then.
And Carmack with his Ferrari.
He still is the hero to some of us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I like that about that was the thing that was cool. I remember really enjoying that period where like the nerdy, so for lack of a better term, the nerdy side of things, you know, people who were interested in programming and you know, the types who would make and play Doom WADs back then and stuff, was like there was a sort of like alternative subculture going on there almost. Whereas now, like internet stuff and being interested in that kind of thing is pretty much ubiquitous. It's interesting looking back at the period when it was like a somewhat more alternative thing, you know what I mean?
Used to be very niche.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine the internet
And,
in niche.
Yeah, I know, right?
Back when downloading a single WAD file could take days.
Oh yeah.
I remember downloading, when my brother downloaded Doom 2 for me, I was young, but I remember the download took like 6 hours or something. Like, it was pretty slow.
Are you admitting to pirating Doom 2?
Oh yeah, I was absolutely a pirate.
I mean, even when you downloaded it, probably like 6 years after it came out, that's like hardly piracy.
Yeah, yeah.
Though to be honest, I paid id Software or whoever owns it, probably Bethesda. Honestly, they're $5 for Doom 2 and Final Doom and Ultimate Doom. I paid for all of them. I even paid. I bought Doom 3 explicitly to get No Rest for the Living. I played Doom 3 later on, just for shits and giggles. But I was not intending to play it when I bought it. I only bought it for the Dean of Doom episode.
Actually, my very first edition of Doom was the BFG edition.
Nice.
That's pretty much how I met Classic Doom. The BFD edition is not very liked for Doom. I mean, for Classic Doom, since the port is not the best thing ever. But it was my very first Doomy touch, to say something.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it. I also love the idea that it had no rest for the living. No rest for the living is like one of my favorite official add-ons. So I really enjoyed that, and then I just got into the community, and the rest is history.
I could see why No Rest for the Living is like one of your favorites, because it's just so, it's such an example of, it's not exactly vanilla, but it's very limit raised mapping done just so cleanly and well. Like, they're such clean maps, you know, like well executed classic Doom right there.
Yeah, they have a very tight consistency. That's something I really enjoyed. All the maps feel different, but all the maps have a similar level of quality. And
Definitely.
that's definitely something that I really enjoyed back then. The WAD was only made by 2 people, I think, right?
Yeah, the Castle
Yes.
and someone else. I can't remember who else made the other
It was
one.
Russell Meekum and Arya Iwakura.
Oh, okay, that's
yeah,
their
yeah.
actual names.
From Nerd Software,
Iwakura.
right?
Yeah.
I only knew one of them by like their actual name on Doom stuff, which was the Castle.
Right, that's because there's a secret. There's an unofficial secret where if you it disappears after 30 seconds. But if you find a secret door or something,
Yeah,
it
you
says
have to
the
spear it
castle was
together.
here. The castle was here.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the castle also made a level for BioShock. I don't know if you guys know that.
Oh, wow.
I did not know that.
I'm not
cool.
surprised though by their talent. You know what I mean?
I think it won one of the CAC awards. It was Arcadia The Maid.
Oh yeah. I know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he made that.
Think-
Fun fact? Well, it's actually
Yeah,
not really that fun of a fact. Sorry, this is really random, but I once dated a girl whose ex-boyfriend, his uncle, is the lead, was like the mind behind BioShock, Ken Levine.
Wow.
Oh wow.
So, 6 degrees of separation. I basically know the guy who made BioShock. Basically.
Man, that's flexing, but okay.
Really. Not really. I'm not even with her anymore, so. And it was her ex-boyfriend's uncle, so I'm just... Anyway, that was random. Sorry about that.
Man,
No, it was a good introduction.
I would die if I even knew someone that knew Romero or Carmack.
Oh, man. Well, actually, you kind of do, because Decino met Romero. Decino and Peter have a picture with him.
Yeah. And he also
Decino
did
also-
an interview with Sandy Peterson.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
and he also defeated Romero in Deathmatch.
Ah, yeah.
Beating up on an old guy, man, that's so mean. Decino's such a bully.
Yeah. All right. It's not nice to pick on the geriatric folks.
Oh, dude.
Decino, the kind of guy to teabag a 7-year-old when he kills it in Call of Duty.
Oh, poor Decino, we're
not
just
even that
talking
old.
shit about him.
I remember Decino actually did an interview for us on the WADazine. And
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And he also mentioned us on his channel. And I remember that day just waking up and seeing I have like 20 new members on this server. I was like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
Turns out Decino shouted us. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, getting
And
his...
I'm a Decino baby. I'm basically born of the Decino effect. The channel, anyway. MtPain went from... I mean, he shouted me out and I got my first 1,000 subscribers in a day and a half.
Oh yeah, I think that's how I actually met your channel. Now that I remember.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I'm sure you did. Yep.
Man,
Yeah,
see, I'm lucky.
sometimes-
I somehow got recommended MtPain even like independently of that, and I was thankful for it.
I believe the Decino effect, though, had something to do with you being recommended me, because lots of
it
Doom
would've.
fans were flocking to my channel. You know?
Right, and I was already watching Decino videos, so it's like it put 2 and 2 together, basically.
What's cool, though, is that Decino, he probably had about 100,000 or close to 100,000 subscribers at that time. He's basically doubled in size since.
Yeah, that's
He was
really
a large
good.
channel then. He's gotten even bigger since then.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting because sometimes I forget the channels are really like 4 years old, I think.
Yes, I think so. It's just like late or early 2019.
Yeah,
About
and
4
you
years?
can. I really never thought I'd see some channel with over 150,000 subscribers. A classic Doom channel, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Before-
Years ago,
think
you'd
we-
never... Oh, sorry, and that's what you were going to say?
No, I just was going to say, I think before Decino, there was only a very few handful channels that were Doom focused and got some attention, like the Aquarius channel. Think you guys know it?
Yes, Aquarius. I've known him from early on. I didn't know him personally, but I've known his channel. Like,
Yep. He was one of the
And-
first Doom players I ever saw on YouTube.
and also
Yeah,
it would have
same.
been Big Mac Davis is an early one as well.
Oh, of course. I actually used one of the McDavis guides he used to do to get secrets on Doom the first time I played.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've never watched any walk. Like, I didn't actually watch that much of what he did, but I remember being so thankful. I was like, I'm really glad he's out there, like, spreading the word of Doom. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. All good religions needs good priest.
Exactly.
Huh. On the topic of subscribers, though, Decino is a little bit a product of the YouTube effect in that he has a lot of subscribers, but very few of those. Well, I want to say 20% of those subscribers are regular viewers of his playthrough videos. So he's got different facets of this channel. He's got the yellow background analysis videos, which do get views proportional to or greater than his subscriber base. But his playthrough videos get a percentage of that. I feel like his channel it benefits from the diversity of his output. My
For
channel, on
sure.
the other hand, only has one kind of output. I do occasionally wonder what would happen if I started to put out different kinds, different formats of video.
I mean, I remember I told you that one time we could even, like, alternate, like, you could do, upload a chat and frag to your channel and just, like, put it on the playlist on my
Yeah, I
channel.
know. Now I did that for what do you call it? The Christmas deathmatch thing it was nicely. It got a nice response. I don't know. I still like the scripted content on my channel. I think I'm still wanting to create like different one-off videos that are Doom related. Sorry, I'm getting a slideshow on my side. I'm probably gonna have to go back to my hotspot in just a second.
Okay, that's I could tell. I was like, man, MtPain is getting a bad connection. I could tell just by looking at your ping and stuff.
So yeah, Endless. I'm curious. I know Doomkid's dooming preferences like the back of my hand. Well, both of us know each other's preferences like the back of our hands, and we get tired of talking to each other about it. I'd love to hear a different person's perspective on the kind of Doom that they enjoy. So please tell me, what kind of Doom WADs do you like? Like, if you had to pick a top 3 favorite WADs or top 5 favorite WADs, what would they be? And what WADs got you into Doom?
Picking the WADs, that's always a very difficult thing to do. But there's 2 WADs that really shaped my Doom persona, to say the least. That's going to be Alien Vendetta and Eternity. Those 2 WADs were some of the very first WADs I ever played, and I remember being like, whoa, I can't believe this shit is real, man.
Same reaction. Same WADs too.
Yeah, I remember because I think I actually played Alien Vendetta first, and I'm not like a veteran like Doomkid. I actually started quite late. I think the very first time I played a WAD was probably 2014, 2015. I think.
Okay.
Earlier than me. It's earlier than me.
Yeah, and so you'll think that a newcomer, the very first thing he will do is to play, new WADs, but I kinda like to go back in time, so I wanted to try out some of the older stuff. So I looked for the list, and of course the very first thing that came out was the top 100 WADs of all time. And Alien Vendetta was one that caught my eye. I played it, and from the get-go I was in love with it. I really enjoyed that WAD. I still play it every once in a while. Something I don't actually do. I don't tend to repeat WADs. I always like to play something new. But Alien Vendetta, it just feels right for me. that has to be one of my favorite WADs.
It deserves
Great
that
pick.
spot, really. It's such a well-made WAD. I mean, it's fun. It's a classic for a reason, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And after that one, I went to I told myself, well, let's play something more new. So of course, I got to, I think it was Skite. Well, Skite's actually not that new, but it's a bit more new compared to Alien Vendetta, right? So
Yeah.
I went to play Skite, and Skite was something different because I remember the maps were more horror, but they were also more short. So it was like a very adrenaline rush to play it. And Skite was probably one of the WADs that made me fall in love with the gameplay. Alien Vendetta made me fall in love with the essence of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
actually, that's a great word. That's a great word for that. The essence of Doom. You can definitely. That's actually. I wish I had thought of that because Alien Vendetta is basically captures the essence of is the essence of Doom in a nutshell. It's the feel. It's the gameplay. It's like everything that makes Doom great can be found in Alien Vendetta. So that's a wonderful way of putting it.
Yeah, for sure. And then I played Skite, and Skite for me was like the pinnacle of Doom gameplay. It was fast, it was fun, it was hard, but it wasn't like unfair to play, and it was just pretty damn awesome. So years came by, I actually stopped playing Doom for a while, and I remember I returned, and you won't believe what mod made me play Doom again.
Was
Which
it
one?
Eternity?
No. It was Brutal Doom.
Brutal Doom. Oh no. Heresy.
Yeah.
Heresy.
Yeah, I remember I saw the trailer and I was like, "Whoa, this looks pretty awesome!" So I downloaded GC Doom, and I just played it and I absolutely loved it. I was a kid back then. I didn't know much.
Yeah. I was joking.
Yeah.
Where did Doomkid go?
Sorry, I disconnected. My Otimex kind of locked up on me for a sec there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
No biggie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
yeah,
back to the community.
Yeah, and that's when I started to play more WADs. I was looking for like the classics, what was good, what's new. I wanted to play everything. So that's how I got into Eternity. I played it, and again, it was like Alien Vendetta 2.0 for me. It felt just great. It's another WAD that I really feel it captured a new essence for Doom. I feel like it was like the pinnacle of modern WADs, to say something.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Ralphus is connected while we're doing a chat and frag. That is literally
Every time.
It's so good.
No wonder I'm dying every single second.
Ralph
Yeah.
is like the unofficial third member of the chat and frag team.
Yeah, at this point, really, he's been
Goes up for like 3 or 4 games and then can't resist the camera.
Dude, it's like he can hear us even though he can't hear us. Dude, that is so funny.
Perfect.
Man can't resist the microphone.
Why am I MtPain27 too? What's going on? It says MtPain27 here, so.
Yeah, if you go into player settings and just hit enter, then it should switch it back.
Yeah, I did. Changed on you guys. I guess you gotta kill me. Oh, alright. I'm MtPain27 too today.
You should change it to
10 times as good as
Cripple X,
MtPain27.
MtPain69 Cripple X.
Lol.
Every single kid used to have that
Oh,
nickname.
that one. There we go. MtPain27 sucks. That's my name now.
Yeah, the XX_XX was so common, man.
Yeah. Those stupid names everyone will use, like Pussy Destroyer and stuff like that.
Dude, for a while.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like that?
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
So anyway,
gonna earn that name today. That is.
going on with the Eternity, I think that's probably if I were to select like you know, a pair of saints of Doom to me, it will definitely be Alien Vendetta and Eternity. Those two WADs are what really made me fall in love with this community.
Those are great
classes.
choices.
Yeah, I'm still crossing my fingers for Eternity too.
Oh wow. We'll relay that to Dragonfly, or you should. You're big enough now. You can definitely get his attention. I'm curious to see. He's like a professional game developer now. He worked on what the heck is that game called? Yeah, Proteus. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's kind of in the process of making it right now.
Yeah,
Curious to see
also
if he returns to his roots at any point.
I also saw that he's now more active as a music composer.
Yes, he's been very active in music. I remember I listened to.
Released a whole MIDI album last year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah. And he's pretty good, actually.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah.
a great musician for sure.
Yeah,
Or if he
it's
actually
funny.
does- Do you guys know if he actually plays a real life instrument
I'm not
or
sure.
something?
Wouldn't be surprised if he plays piano or something, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, he's
Is,
very talented.
His MIDI for the TNT MIDI pack, that's one of the few I listened to all the way through. It sounded very guitar-based in the way that a guitar player writes guitar-based songs. So, my intuition.
And of course, you listen to the one that Jimmy and I made, of course. I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah, of course, naturally. Of course.
Dude, you should
my
try it.
favorite.
I think you'd like it. Jimmy did a great job bringing it back to where I guess it needed to be, especially under
I
the.
believe you. Truth be told, I did not play the entirety of TNT with the pack. I think I only got to, like
no.
level 5.
Neither did I, dude. I didn't even play with those. I just listened to them the way that someone would listen to an album, basically, whenever they came out. You know what I mean?
Well, and I gotta be honest, the one I've listened to the most by far is Decino's Doom World is Round.
Oh yeah. He
The
made
Doom World is
a.
flat.
The Doom World is around.
It's flat. I think it's like the Doom World is flat.
That's what
really
it's
sure.
called. That's what it.
Either way, I love that track because it reimagines Horizon, which is probably the most underappreciated. It's one of the best original TNT tracks in my opinion. Just a wonderful, moody, scary, cinematic one-off. It's perfectly placed for such a climactic map 20. One of the best map 20s. Well, I mean, I think in my opinion, it's certainly the best map 20 of sorry, I'm rambling.
No, I'm listening to you, man.
It's the best map 20 track of the Doom 2 iWads. I think Plutonia map 20 Death Domain is okay. Doom 2 map 20 Gotcha I've never been a fan of for some reason. Map 20 TNT, it's like, I think in my mind that kind of defines what a map 20 ought to be in a Megawad. Like a turning point, a sort of like a pre-climax of the WAD, like not a final challenge, but the most serious challenge so far.
Yeah, it's like a map that's telling you, get ready, things are going to get hot.
That's right, and it's not quite hellish, but it's oftentimes you see map 20s that are like on the brink of hell, and I think that's a pretty good example of one. I'm not really sure what to call central processing, but it's nothing if not hell touched. So anyway, I'm a huge sucker for Drake O'Brien, but just wanted to, that was my long-winded way of saying that my favorite track in the MIDI pack is by Decino, because it just took me by surprise. I wasn't even expecting to listen to any of those tracks really, because I like the original so much.
The whole TNT, the original soundtrack, like from the old days, like I thought was probably the best of the official classic Doom sound. Now, again, like I sort of didn't realize that TNT was like an official WAD until like a year after I first played it or so.
Yeah.
But I remember as soon as I did, I was like, wow, really? Like it had such. I remember, because I always liked the Doom and Doom 2 music. I always, considered it iconic, really. But
running all day.
Yeah.
Running
but,
indeed.
Man, like TNT and Memento Mori as well. I felt both outclassed it in their music, personally. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now that you mention it, wasn't TNT like one of the very first WADs to have original music?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like megawads, it would have been among the first for sure.
Yeah, because other WADs used to like do MIDI renditions of famous popular songs like Black Hole Sun and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think TNT was like one of the first ones that had truly original music.
Yeah, that's right. With a few Doom 2 and Doom 1 tracks used for good measure.
It's tradition, man.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I always associate Countdown to Death with map 19 of TNT. I always associate the Dave D. Taylor blues with Crater, map 12 from TNT. The Doom 2 songs that are clearly came first in Doom 2, I played them with TNT Evolution first. So it's weird, like, I don't associate Dave D. Taylor with Tricks and Traps as much as Crater. It's very strange.
It makes sense, though, because, that's the first place you heard them. It's hard to break those associations.
With Plutonia, lots of Doom 2 and Doom 1 tracks I heard in Plutonia first, like, what do you call it? Dark Halls will always be Plutonia Map 2 to me.
Dude,
not, E1, M3.
As much as I played Shareware Doom back in the day, the E1 M2 music, that
song, yeah,
the Plutonia Map 1 really fit that well.
I agree, that belongs to Plutonia Map 1.
I think for me, the one MIDI song that's really burned in my mind is Sign of Evil. Sign of Evil.
Yeah.
That's the most that's one of the most tense. Not even tense is not the right word, but it builds so much suspense when you get to E1M8 and you hear that MIDI starting. Like just with
it's very evil. That's what I like to say.
It's one that, even though I heard first in Plutonia, that one actually does belong to E1M8 for me. I think it better fits the boss stage and the end of the episode.
Yeah.
It also goes well with the start of Typhlesh Consume, because that's like the hardest WAD, so it deserves a really like evil sounding song.
Yeah, I love that. Like E4, when I first played E4, I was like, man, I thought it was cool. How hard it was just gave it this cool factor to me.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite episode too.
I could see why. Although, like, as I got older, let's say once I was like 16 or so, I had come to the opinion that E4 has 2 amazingly strong starter maps, and then falls off quite a bit. Like, not
I agree. I would say on the basis of its on its first 2 maps, it's an incredibly strong episode. But I think the other 3 even. Well, I'd probably pick 4 over 3. But episodes 1 and 2 have more strong maps.
Yeah, I have to agree, because you know what? There's one little map that set me over the edge on E4 in terms of considering it, in terms of taking its quality down, I guess is a good way to put it, which is that little square
is it 5
brown.
or 9?
It's that little square.
9.
Is that 9?
Wait, no, you're talking about the really short one, or
it's a little tiny brown square that's called brown hug texture, and it's like it's over in like 1 minute. It's nothing.
That's number 4, E4M4. That's American McGee's map.
Yeah, like it looks like it was a deathmatch map that they just kind of threw some monsters in almost. Like that's the impression I got. Like,
yeah, map isn't great, but I think the Tim Willits maps are worse.
Yeah, you can. You start to notice the trends with his maps quite quickly, and it kind of burns you down.
Yeah, they're pretty boring, and definitely deathmatch oriented, because Tim Willits was his 2 master level contributions were explicitly made for expressly made for deathmatch and for single player, but more for deathmatch. Because keep in mind they have good windows for sniping.
Yeah, you need windows for sniping, man. That's what it's all about.
No bugs and all 3 keys.
That's how you measure quality. Does it have all the keys, and are there windows for sniping?
Office is not only kicking our asses, he's typing GG before the rest of us.
Yeah.
He already knows.
He's a quick draw, man.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I just realized this is one of the original maps, but modified.
Yeah, slightly.
They've all been that way. There's E1M1 we saw. Oh man, my memory is like a sieve today. Just played one.
Oh, you know what? I wanted to. Another topic I actually wanted to bring up with you guys that we haven't got on the recording so far is is Doom 64 part of the classic Doom family? Now, for me, it's a firm yes. Now, people who know me from Doom World have seen me talk at great length at this point about why I feel that way. But you know, I just wanted to hear you guys weigh in. For me, it's the fact that it's on the id Tech 1 engine, and as I play it, I can feel that it's the same engine. Now, granted, it was modified in some ways to add a lot of functionality, like in the way Doom 2 was modified to add fast doors and fast lifts and new varieties of crushers, and like there's a lot of stuff under the hood that's not obvious that Doom 2 added in that Doom 1 lacked originally. And Doom 64 goes above and beyond with adding new stuff, but it still feels like id Tech 1. And beyond that, and the enemies and monsters looking and functioning very, very similarly to how they do in Doom 1 and 2, that makes me feel like it's part of classic Doom. And but I want to hear you guys weigh in.
Sure. Well, I mean, I can't say anything more about Doom 64 without being permanently blacklisted from the Doom community, because apparently my takes on Doom 64 were piss poor and played the game wrong, and let's just say people didn't like my Doom 64 video, or at least the vocal minority didn't.
You aren't playing Doom 64 right unless you use the original N64 control.
That's right. I should have gotten a TV and filmed myself playing on the television with an N64 controller.
On a VHS.
See, that's the main problem with Doom 64 in terms of how it fits into the Doom community's discourse on Doom, is that it was a console game that you can now play on the PC. So you've got PC players playing a console game, and console players looking at PC players like, well, but that's not how I played it, that's not how I experienced it. So I can see there being a disconnect between Doom 64 and the other classic Doom games, but I'm with Doomkid. I 100% believe that it is the same ilk as classic Doom. It was only made 2 years or 3 years after Doom 2. It plays very similarly. It got criticized for playing too similarly to Doom 2 in its day, not being a Quake reimagining, not having polygons. The sprite-based artwork, what do you call it? The movement feels similar. The guns are virtually the same. Like Doomkid said, there are a couple alterations to the engine, but the base of the engine is the classic Doom engine. No one can dispute that. So, also, the other thing that separates it from other classic, from Doom 2 and Doom 1 is the relative lack of mods for it, though. And that's where I think the folks who were on Doom World crying for Doom 64 needs a separate platform to be discussed. They feel like the black sheep because the game unfortunately kind of is the black sheep of the series, but that doesn't make it any less of a classic Doom game. I think if we're going to discuss whether or not it's a different kind of Doom versus whether or not it's classic Doom, those are two different conversations. The second one is over quite quickly. Yes, it's classic Doom. We can all kind of agree on that. But whether or not it gets enough recognition or any of that stuff is a lot more complicated. And honestly, I think Doom 64 has come to light, so to speak, a lot more recently since Civi made a video about it and since it got a re-release and all that stuff. I think since Doom Eternal was released, more people have been playing Doom 64 than ever. And now is the time if people want to make custom sets for it or whatever, they ought to just do that. But there have always been Doom 64 fans out there. Like Kaiser has been kind of leading the charge for them.
Endless, you're a big Doom 64 fan, I'm sure. Like I remember hearing you say that. I think.
64.
Yeah.
Like a no.
No. I mean, I do agree that Doom 64 is part of the classic field of Doom games, but I'm actually not that big of a fan of the game because I don't even have finished it fully. But I do respect it a lot, especially because I've read a lot about it. I don't know if you guys know Immorpher.
Immorpher, no. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the writers for the WADazine, and
maybe I do know him.
Absolutely loves Doom 64. He's on level with Kaiser. He makes maps, he makes mods and stuff like that.
I think I might have gotten something he said mixed up. That's why I thought you liked Doom 64 a lot, because you guys. Yeah, that's.
Because Endless is everybody who writes at the WADazine.
Oh yeah, that's of course.
He's just those are all sock puppet accounts that are all just him, and he's just all those different personalities.
Naturally.
Can you edit this out of the conversation, please? I don't know if people knowing that.
Of course.
But yeah, with Doom 64, this dilemma, I actually didn't know it was such a big thing for people. Before this,
it's not a big thing for most people, but still, it's worth talking about.
Yeah, before this, Doom 64 was mostly considered I don't know if the black sheep. I think Doom 3 is the black sheep of the saga.
Yeah.
Doom 64, it's more like the quiet kid, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It doesn't get a lot of rep. It has a good reputation, some good things, some bad things, but it's Doom. It's a classic Doom game. It, as Doomkid say, it uses the original Doom engine. It may be a little bit more new than Doom 3, but it's still part of the classic games. I don't know if you guys suffered the same thing as I did, but back when I was new to the community, I originally thought that Doom 64 was a literal Nintendo 64 port.
You did?
That's how I saw it.
Wow.
I didn't know there. Yeah, I didn't know the game was like completely new. I just thought like was like the same levels, but now on the Nintendo 64. So when I realized that it was a complete new game, I was like, wow, this looks awesome.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of
yeah,
people thought that when it came out. I remember Civi in his video said the same thing about it. It was like kind of a branding mistake that they called the Doom 64, as in lots of Nintendo ported games were just called blank 64. That people didn't know it was a whole new set of levels.
Mario 64
yeah.
famously was a port of the first Mario, just on N64, you know?
Yep.
I think the original name for Doom 64 was going to be Absolution, I think.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right,
if they
that's
called
right.
it that, somebody would have, some more people would have bought it.
Yeah, I honestly have to agree with that. I think that the naming scheme that the Nintendo 64 had back in the day of putting 64 in every single game kind of hurt the, I guess, the merchandise of it a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. I would agree with that. Like, calling the console N64 is fine, but calling every game 64 is a little over the top, like...
Yeah.
And,
Especially when you consider that, let's say they made a game for the DOS, and now they made another game for the Nintendo 64, but instead of giving it a new original name, they just put 64 on top of it. Well, people will probably just think, oh, it's a port for 64, and that's it.
well,
Kind
see,
of like how happened with.
it's fun. Sorry, I was just thinking, like... I always thought that Doom 64 sold poorly, but now I'm not so sure, because I think I saw a post from Quasar, or he might not have been, he might have said this, but he was referencing something that was like, apparently the sales were actually pretty good, but it's funny to me, because I never...
Maybe not good compared to Doom 2, though. Maybe like they were inferior to Doom 2.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
That was poor.
I was
you know?
thinking that.
Because I remember, like, when I was a kid, and, you know, N64 was the hot console when I was in, like, I don't know, 5th or 6th grade or whatever. And, yeah, it was like no one had Doom 64. Everyone just assumed it was a port, and, like, yeah, everyone had GoldenEye, everyone had Perfect Dark. I'm talking, like, you know, at least 20 or 30 different people who I knew at school, like, from class, who I would talk to at lunch and so on. Knew GoldenEye, they knew Perfect Dark, and they knew the old Dooms, but they didn't really know what Doom 64 was. Like, it wasn't known. It wasn't... No one remarked on it, you know what I mean?
The only one that knew about Doom 64 was the quiet kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you see it like that, Doom 64 is like the emo Doom of all the games.
It's like the what, Tim?
Like emo?
The emo. Yeah, you know what an emo is?
Maybe I just can't hear you. I heard Emil.
No, it's,
Yeah, like,
it's an accent. It's an accent difference.
Like a let's see, like a gothic kid.
Oh, yeah, I got you now. I understand.
Yeah.
Emo, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the soundtrack, it sure is. The Aubrey Hodges, you can put your wrists in a bathtub to that music.
But don't edit that out.
Yeah, it's a bit morbid, but
Well, dude, I mean, that music, morbid is actually a good word for some of the sounds that music makes. Because...
it's good, but I mean, it's at a certain point, it's like, I mean, they call that musique concrete. In other words, it's like slabs of noise and sound that kind of amount to music, sort of, but
a
it's
soundscape.
too experimental to be called songs. They're not really songs.
Yeah,
Which is why, like, after playing enough Doom 64, I kind of miss the, you know, just any kind of rhythm, any kind of beat, any kind of, like, melody. My favorite Doom 64 song is the one, I don't know what it's called or what map it's playing in, but you can hear, like, an actual, like, a movement musically in it. There's like an organ or something, with the baby crying in the background and whatever, but it's building towards something, and I think Aubrey Hodges is at its best when he accompanies the ambiance with actual music.
Right.
It's not impossible to have both, you know.
I was pretty closed-minded when I was younger because I remember at some point in my teenage years, I played Doom 64 either. There wasn't EX yet, but it might have been one of the conversions or either way. It had the authentic Doom 64 music playing, or soundscapes rather. And I remember I was like,
you can call it music, obviously, but just like it wouldn't call it songs.
No, right. Well, yeah, I remember thinking like, this is cool, but like, you know, I said something on Doom World to the effect because I saw someone later on say like, Doom 64's soundtrack is superior to Doom 1, and I'm like, who really thinks that a bunch of like gurgling noises are better than an actual melody? You know, which is closed-minded, of course, but still, like...
Yeah. The thing is, I love ambient music. Ambient music is arguably, maybe not my favorite genre, but it's something I listen to all the time. I'm like an outspoken fan of Brian Eno and Steve Roach, and I mean, there's others. Since I'm editing this video, I can put them on the screen. There's a whole list of them I found in college. But in terms of what I want for Doom, oftentimes, like, I'm informed preference-wise by TNT Evolution, and those were moody, atmospheric tracks, but they were songs.
Dude, there's some rockin'. There were like some of those tunes are headbangable for sure. Endless just kicked my ass.
Yeah, I just realized that.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I tend to like I really miss my midis when I don't have them.
Yeah. In Doom 64, the having just a distinct song playing for each map, it does. I gotta agree with you. I miss that as well.
You know what? That actually might be the thing for me that Doom 64 loses its identity, because I can't tell the songs that play in each map apart from each other. Point. I never would have thought of that. I should have added that to the video.
You are gonna get canceled so bad after this comes out, man. Oh man.
I'm saying the soundtrack does enough for me that it's engaging on an environmental level, but I can't tell the difference between the tracks, most of them.
I think the same could apply to the original Quake 1 soundtrack too, which is very ambient heavy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Fun fact, I've never played Quake with the soundtrack. The port that I have from Steam just doesn't play the soundtrack along with it.
That's so lame. Are you serious?
Yeah, I've never played Quake with the soundtrack. No music.
Dude, oh man, this is why I don't use Steam. This is why I use Pirate Bay. That's my gaming choice, Like.
There you go.
Hey, that's a very consistent platform.
Hey. All right. It's a weird map.
I was just gonna say, do you guys mind if I switch to the next WAD?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. It's like I've played it before. It's just a weird setup. Probably better for like 10 people rather than 3 people.
Have you actually played Capture the Flag?
Never played Capture the Flag before, no.
Oh, yeah. Have you played it Endless? Oh yeah, of course you have.
Yeah,
of course.
Of course. I have my own Capture the Flag event.
Yeah. I used to play it a lot back in the day, but it's been a long time now. I like Capture the Flag a lot, but I got to the point where I just couldn't, I don't know, I just only played deathmatch and single player after a while. I don't know why that is.
It's more simple and just easy going, I guess. You get the gameplay flows more organically.
Capture the Flag be really tense? I always think of Capture the Flag as being fairly tense, because you're constantly having to defend your base and find the guy with the flag. It just seems stressful to me. If
you want to do well, you got to work with your partners for sure. Yeah, Endless will be able to speak better on that topic than I would, I'm sure.
Deathmatch, you can just kind of tune out. I like deathmatch because it's relaxing, because you can just kind of tune out. Single player is my favorite, obviously, but
yeah, like for example, if we were playing CTF right now, it will be a little bit more harder to concentrate both on the podcast and on playing.
Right.
Exactly.
But with deathmatch, you just have to move, point, and click.
That's right.
Of course, I say that, but here I'm getting hit by, I don't know, MtPain. Oh, it's you! I love
you forgot that was me?
Yeah,
X not pain sucks X. Yeah, we changed that earlier.
Dude, that's so
Yeah,
funny.
it was a new one.
Got him.
I didn't even
Yeah.
realize when Ralphie's left the match.
Yeah,
he
a
just-
game or two
he just
ago.
dropped us. He got bored. He left.
Dude, he was just tossing us around like rag dolls. Just if I was to play against Ralphus and want to get like over 30 and like let's say we were doing a duel, the first to 50. If I wanted to get over 30 frags in that against Ralphus, I would have to be like not connected to anything else, focusing 100% full force on it. Because I remember like when I wanted to get into Unidoom, I asked him, you know, I just asked him straight up. I was like, hey, I'm interested in joining. Like, I consider this clan prestigious. And he was like, well, let's see how you can do in a deathmatch. It was him and Deathzor. And I was like,
Shit.
I think I got like
Never
30
beat him.
against him. Or maybe not even that. What would you say, MtPain?
I said Deathzor, the other Dean of Doom.
Oh, yeah, the literal Dean of Doom. Yeah, no, it was cool. I played with them and like I'm pretty sure that Deathzor beat me as well. I can't remember the score. But they were like, no, you held your own good, and like we had a good rapport. We were chatting to each other and enjoyed it and stuff. But yeah. But if the moral of the story is Ralphus is really good. If I wanted to even have like a halfway respectable loss, I'd have to focus 100% of my energy on that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good. And the thing is, it's like he's not the best though. Like there's players who are even slightly above him. I say slightly because he's damn near. And
Zenero, isn't he one of them?
Zenero is definitely a very high tier player as well.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. He played with us once. I think he won once when I did a tournament. He just played once, he won the tournament and left.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
There was it's one of the best players. I think the best player I ever went. Just it's not that it was ultra serious or anything, but the best player that I ever dueled with died a few years ago, back in 2017, named Demon Sphere. He was like...
yeah, you mentioned Demon Sphere before.
He had, like, what I would call transcendental Doom skill. Like, no matter what your play style was, Demon Sphere could and was going to beat you. Like, that's how it's how it always seemed to me.
He was beyond.
He was, I think he was about the same age as me, roughly. But yeah, no, it was...
Say age doesn't mean a lot in the deathmatching community.
No.
Matchers can be great and up there in age.
Yeah, it's true.
I actually said he was beyond you.
Oh,
wow,
yes.
We
I thought you said he must be young.
The exact same thing.
Sorry for that.
That's okay.
That's our bad.
But yeah, no, he was way beyond what anything I could do. It's funny because like I don't think. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say on this?
Oh yeah, and you've been playing for like 20 years already, right?
When I first started playing, I think it was probably 1995 or 1996 maybe. So yeah, it's been a long time. Since I was little, I was single digit when I first really fell in love with Doom. The Super Mario Brothers, like Kirby and other stuff on NES, and Doom was like what I loved.
Yeah, I would say I fell in love with Doom before I could even play it. I watched my dad play Doom when I was, 5, 6, 7 years old, and it scared the crap out of me, but it was so addictive. Every time he booted it up, it was like the highlight of my day. That game in particular was just so fun, and it was so... because it was like super tense. I was a nervous little kid. I'm a nervous adult now, but I was a nervous little kid. And the ammo conservation and the big guns and the scary demons, it was the best.
And this was Final Doom, right?
Yeah. My dad had no idea he was playing like the hard version of the Doom you're supposed to graduate to, but he did manage to beat TNT Evolution by himself. He didn't even have internet when he was first playing it, so he had no friends to help him out, nobody to talk to about it. played very carefully. He was the kind of guy who would clear out every room and look painstakingly for press on walls for secrets. He hated finding secrets. He told me the secrets were stupid and you have to use anti-logic to find them.
That sounds like something you will read on old school Doom World.
Yeah. Your dad would have fit in the like OG Doom community.
Already in post hell.
But he watched me play a couple of months ago and was watching me just kind of zoom around the room and kill things in 3 hits, and he was like, "Oh my god, any one of those demons I would have had to take the whole day to kill." Back in the day, you're way, way, way better than I ever was. But he played keyboard only, so to say he beat TNT hurt me plenty. Keyboard only, way back in the day, is means that he was all right.
That's a solid doomer.
Pretty good.
It's a solid doomer.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's funny how I fell in love with a game without ever actually having played it for the first many years of my life. I don't think I played Doom until I was 13.
That's similar to how I met Doom 2. In my case, I didn't actually play the classic games first. My very first experience with Doom was with Doom 3, and it was watching my uncle play it. And Doom 3 is the game that if you play when you are less than 10 years old, it leaves you traumatized for life.
Yeah,
I bet it would. Oh man.
Totally.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how my love for Doom started. Mostly in the art style sense of things. I just loved how fucking gory and satanic it was, and I was just 10 years old. So.
Yeah. I was like almost 13 when I first played Doom 3, so a little more. And also already a longtime fan of like creepier games like the old Dooms anyway. So maybe it just had a little more resistance, because I remember Doom 3 though, when I first played it, like, I actually watched my older brother play it, because, it's, and even when I was like 12, which by me, I was starting to get out of being scared by games and stuff around that age. And like, it still creeped me out big time. And I love that, like when a game can give you that emotion of genuinely making you feel like scared and on edge. That's such a good feeling. It sounds.
Yeah, Doom 3 really nailed that.
Exactly.
Rare nowadays, we kind of like look for that nowadays.
Yeah.
Like when we're kids, we like actively avoid it, but like as adults, that's like all we look for is like extremity of feeling. We look for really vivid sensations.
It's very true.
That's just midlife crisis.
It's like, for me, it's just Saturday.
That's why I wear a gold chain and bought a convertible. And wait. Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh my god, it's my MIDI.
Yeah, dude, it's MtPain's MIDI. Of course, I can't believe I didn't know there was a Miserloo MIDI. That's great. It's so similar to at the beginning, at least.
It is. It's the same, because I just verbatim copied Miserloo.
Oh, you are talking about the song playing right now?
Yeah.
The song. I made a song for Doomkid's Jamal Jones project. I made a map for him in his contest, and my MIDI was based on. It was a mashup of The Demon's Dead and this song, Miserloo, Pulp Fiction.
Damn, that's awesome.
Like it. I just wish I could make more MIDIs, because I find I have a ton of fun when I actually sit down and make them, but I don't know. I either sit down and make MIDIs like and MIDI for hours at a time, or I put 3 notes down and I go, that's horrible, and I quit for the day,
Right.
More like I put down 3 notes, I say that's horrible, and I quit for 6 months. That's more like what happens.
That sounds about right with any creative process.
Yeah.
The first steps are always the most challenging.
It's so true.
I gotta say, I'm better at not getting discouraged about writing these days. Huge gaps in season 2 were pretty much. I mean, there were other life things going on, but I actually almost had a heart attack, whatever you want to call it, trying to write the Memento Mori episode.
Yeah.
That was supposed to come right after the Halloween episode, and it ended up basically derailing my writing. Not Memento Mori itself, but the act of sitting down and trying to write it. Because it was a challenge to the WADs I have the hardest time writing about are the ones I feel the least about. Like if I really hate a WAD, which is incredibly rare, I want to write about it, and I usually have an easier time wanting to write about WADs I love. But I felt so neutral and so lukewarm about Memento Mori that it was just hard to put any kind of words down about it or any other WAD. Like once I have this thing where if I have the next thing on the list has to be done before the thing after that on the list.
Right.
So
I kind of get like
up,
that too, actually, so I can relate.
Had to really forcibly break out of that habit, and I had to go, okay, we're not doing Memento Mori next, we're going to just save it. And that's when I jumped to the WADazine trilogy, because I was like, okay, these are short maps. I'll just kind of refresh my writing with these and limit myself to 3 sentences. Like, you can write 3 sentences, can't you? Of course. That was like the only thing that got me through that script, though, because the writer's block was just that bad. I had the same thing with Hell Revealed 2. I don't even hate Hell Revealed 2. It was just painful. It was just painful to write about, and it almost killed Hard Sequels Month.
Oh,
wow. I
wow.
do hate Month.
And it took me. The editing and the playing only took like 2 or 3 days total, but the writing took like, 1.5 weeks, something like that. And a lot of that was just like, me laying in bed, not being able to do anything. Because like, for me, when I can't write, writing is my chief form of creative expression right now. But when I can't creative in any capacity, I just kind of shut down. It was way worse back then. Hopefully things are a little bit better now. But
what was that?
What would you say was your hardest review? Which one took you like the most time and effort to make?
It's a great question. I think Memento Mori has to be number 1 because not only was I derailed by that episode for several months and had to put it off for a long time, but the Delinquent and I were originally going to play it together in co-op, and other things came up. We actually recorded a bunch of things, like we recorded our sessions, and then I lost the audio for that and a bunch of the video. And then I moved, and it became difficult to get him on the horn to play again. So then I had the idea to play it with Doomkid and Casino. Once we implemented that was back in October we played that together, the three maps each. So you can see the episode came out in March. So that was like 5 or 6 months later, but I had already been planning to do Memento Mori since the end of 2020. That episode actually took like 15 months to come together, and the script for that was just like pulling teeth. I did the first 8 maps, and then I just let it sit there forever.
When did you and I play? What was the month that you and I played?
October 2021.
Okay. It's been almost a year already. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That was actually terrible.
Well, actually, on the note of Memento Mori being the hardest episode for you to have made, I have to say, does the thought ever occur to you, MtPain? You know how you said it didn't really get much of a reaction as a Doom WAD. It was just very middling and didn't really get much out of you.
Yeah.
Has the thought ever occurred to you that you probably would, if let's say you had started with Ultimate Doom and Doom 2, you probably would have felt that way about TNT had you met it later in life. You know what I mean?
I think about that all the time. I think 100% my infatuation with TNT has everything to do with when I played it, and almost nothing to do with the actual WAD. And I think if Memento Mori had replaced Memento Mori or Icarus, I think if they had replaced TNT, I would feel similarly. Now, there are some maps in TNT that I think no matter when I played it, I would be impressed by.
Oh, for sure.
I think MtPain is one of those. I think Wormhole is one of those.
It's a good WAD, dude. It deserves the praise.
It's really excellent. However, I would not be like such a fanboy of it. I not played it in my childhood.
You'd probably feel like I do about it. Like I think about it fondly, but I'm not crazy about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably. And I'm certain that if Memento Mori had been my first Doom WAD, I would have figured out all of its tricks, and I wouldn't be understanding what people's gripes about it were. I know all the stupid peculiarities of TNT Evolution, all the fake walls and the weird secrets and hidden weapons and things, and like other people call those BS, and I go, well, not really. You just know where it is.
The funny thing is,
I've spent so many hours being frustrated by it.
All those things that people complain about in TNT are in Doom 2. Like the Citadel,
Sure.
not the Citadel, rather, Suburbs has the one, like, there's a red building that has 4 doors on it that are, like, blocked off by skulls, but one of them you can randomly walk in. You know what I mean? Like, that's completely random. Or it's the Citadel, as I accidentally said the Citadel, but maybe subconsciously it's because I was thinking about how to get 2 of the 3 necessary keys, any route of that is going to be ridiculously convoluted. Like, it's not straightforward at all. And there's so many maps in Doom 1 to a much lesser extent. Doom 1 is a little more straightforward, I feel like. It's not 100% straightforward, but it's closer. But Doom 2...
better.
What were you going to say, Endless?
Oh yeah, just commenting that Doom 1 maps flow better in my opinion.
They make more obvious sense to me.
Yeah.
And I would say that's true, like, as a mark against Doom 2 and TNT in the same way, if you know what I mean? Like, they both have these weird convoluted moments where I'm loving the campaign and then all of a sudden, WTF,
You guys are talking about Romero's maps being accessible and not convoluted, right? Because Sandy's maps are convoluted as hell. Do you remember Hellkeep? Do you remember Limbo?
Limbo is the first one that came to mind as a contradiction. As soon as I said it, I was like, oh yeah, Limbo.
Yeah. Well, basically, most of E3, and also E2M5, I forget what it's called now, Stronghold or something, probably not that. The one with no secrets and no key, or like 9 secrets and no keys that you can just kind of wander around.
I know them by name more than number.
Super. It's the one before the secret map. It's super non-linear. With the 2 barons in that lower in the central courtyard. Sorry, I gotta mute myself.
Oh
I
wait.
gotta get a drink.
Oh yeah, sure, man.
My throat is dying.
Hey, do you guys mind if we keep recording, but we take like a little 3-minute stretch and water break? Is that all right with you guys?
Sure. It's okay for me.
All right, I'm just going to take a quick little break starting now. I'll come back in about 3 minutes, all right? Oh. You totally made the sound that a pufferfish makes just then. I heard someone go, oh.
That wasn't me.
I think it was
I was
MtPain.
readjusting in my chair. You just called me a pufferfish. Hurts my feelings.
No, not.
You're referring to that video, right? The one where you like poke the fish and it goes like, eh.
Yeah, but it's just that you made this sound. You're not an actual pufferfish. No, I don't think you're a spiky aquatic creature.
So I just sound like a pufferfish. All right. I've had my voice called worse.
I actually really enjoyed your voice in the videos.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I
no,
appreciate that.
I don't think that you sound like a pufferfish in general. It's just that you made us.
I'm joking, dude. I'm basically just miming. I don't know. You know the Dean of Doom appreciation thread on Doom World, Doomkid.
Oh yeah.
That got locked recently because after the Doom 64 video, a bunch of people they jumped on the thread and were bashing me and the video and RD, who was defending me. RD wasn't even defending me. RD was defending the right to express opinions that differed from the Doom 64 orthodoxy, which apparently there is one. I didn't know there was one. They were just being assholes, and RD locked the thread because they were being combative and negative for negative.
I did see that. It was so silly. Like,
what a shame. Like, just people being assholes, honestly. But on that same thread, I saw a reply once that got deleted, but I saw it before it got deleted. Somebody was like, yeah, I just don't like Dean of Doom. I hate his voice. His voice is annoying. Basically, his complaints amounted to his voice is annoying, and I don't like him. Then RD deleted the reply and said, like, even if it's not a response, it's not a critique, it's nothing, you're just being an asshole.
Dude,
yeah.
I really
didn't know the thread was locked.
I'm gonna unlock it soon, but I would just talk to RD and be like, it's been more than long enough.
RD said that she would unlock it once another video came out, most likely.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's probably gonna get unlocked any time today, probably then.
Yeah, probably. Especially because there's so much to talk about with a new video.
Oh my
actually,
god.
It's actually a good segue. I wanted to ask both of you guys, because Doomkid, we've never covered this. I now have an answer to this question, but maybe you guys could fill in your own personal responses. But what's the hardest Doom map you've ever played?
I want Endless to go first.
Okay, thanks for the honor.
A hot seat.
I don't really play hard maps. Like, I know a lot of the community members really enjoy like maps that are absolutely insane, but I tend to like things that are a little bit more relaxing. I do like difficulty challenges like Typhlesh Consume. I like that kind of difficulty. As for the more difficult map I played, I think it's Kite 2, Whispering Winds. I think you
Yes.
remember that map, right?
I'll never forget that map. I'm in a nursing home. I'll have flashbacks to that map.
That map, I swear. I mean, I was enjoying Skype, being really happy, just me having some fun, and that map just shut me up and told me, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
it really
it's so
destroyed
brutal.
me.
So
Yeah,
brutal.
that's probably the hardest map I played. I didn't actually finish Sky 2. The next maps after it just become harder and harder and harder, and I really couldn't do much.
It's interesting to hear you say that, Endless, because I think my response is going to be pretty similar in terms of like, if I can't pick a specific WAD, but if we're just talking about general difficulty of a Doom WAD, for me, Scythe there was fire and ice, and then there's one other map in the first Scythe, which is like 26 or something. I can't remember what the title or the slot is, but either way, they're by far the two hardest maps in the first Scythe.
You guys hear me?
Oh, sorry, MtPain. Yeah, I hear you fine, man.
Oh, I'm gonna have to reconnect to the server. I disconnected for a second.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, map 26, Fear.
Oh, you knew it right away. Good, thank you. I'm so glad. You're already much more encyclopedic of like actually popular WADs than I am.
I can't help it.
I haven't. Yeah,
Probably more the trauma than the memory.
Yeah.
Well, I love map 26. See, I don't think map 26 is that hard. It's tough, but like when you don't know what you're doing. But that's like manageable slaughter in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely manageable, but it's just. For me, it's you know me, I like my, you know how you said, in deathmatch you can just sort of sit back and switch off a bit and have some fun frags. Like, no, I like to focus sometimes. Whenever I want a hard challenge, I actually want to be in a deathmatch server with someone like Ralphus, let's say. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure, yeah.
that's, but for me, when I'm playing single player Doom, I do like a much more like, I don't know if Endless has played them, but I know you've played the first Rowdy Rudy and the first Ray Mohawk. Like, those are both right in the zone of the difficulty I like, which is to say, somewhere, like, imagine if E4 of Doom, Ultimate Doom had a super shotgun. That's like the actual difficulty, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard.
In that case, both of you guys still have a hardest map you've played that you still enjoy. Like you have upper thresholds for difficulty. That's kind of what I'm gearing toward this question.
For what I enjoy,
like for me,
it would be.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just gonna say my answer is super quick. For me, my upper limit of what I enjoy would be capping off a campaign like Scythe with a map like Fire and Ice, because there was a bunch of bite-sized fun leading to it. It made a good finale. But beyond that, I wouldn't want anything beyond that, like on its own or as a conclusion.
Fire and Ice is brutal though. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
One of the hardest maps I've played.
For me, the map, the WAD that I will enjoy that's difficult, but I still have a lot of fun with, is the Chore series and the Bragg series. I think you guys know that one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
Like Frag is very difficult, but it's not that like insane. It doesn't throw you 1,000 projectiles at the face every single second. It's more tactical, I think.
Right, right. And the other ones, the Malcolm Sailor ones, the cord wads.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the core ones because they have like these little puzzles, but they are more on relation with the gameplay. Like it's not a straight shoot, forget. You have to think about what you're going to do.
Right,
You have to
right.
know the movement, understand the map, and I like that kind of difficulty. That's probably why I really enjoy a lot the first map of Typhlish Consume.
Yeah, it requires you to think. It's true. It's not just. It's not your standard Doom map, you know, so to speak. Like
For sure.
You've played
what,
all
and-
those,
and
haven't? Oh, sorry, MtPain. I was just gonna say you have played the cord maps, all of them. I'm pretty sure, haven't you?
I haven't. Yes, I played them all for the first Sawed Off. I really liked them, and I was actually just about to make a recommendation to Endless based on that. I don't want to sound like a Rubik's bro when I say this, but if you liked the chord maps, you'd really like Crumpets. It's a
Crumpets.
short. Yeah, it's a short set by him that's much less difficult than his usual stuff. But I think all the maps are between like 40 and 90 monsters, so they're not very long. They're all like 5 to 10 minutes at most. They are very much puzzle based in that you have little scenarios to figure out, and then you're done with the map and you move on to the next one. Only maps 9 and 10 take a little bit longer, and they're not long, believe me, compared to the Sunlusts and the Swim with the Whales and all that. Would recommend you play Crumpets. It's a fun little set. I really enjoyed it.
Gonna
Dude, I
check
felt-
those out.
I felt so dumb after asking you because as soon as you said it, I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember watching him friggin' talk about the cord wads in one of his videos." God,
All right,
terrible memory.
I barely remember. It's becoming increasingly hard for me to remember all the episodes and their titles and what order they came out in.
It
I was
does.
really
It
good at
becomes
it
a bit of a
while.
blur.
Yeah. I can't
Actually,
believe I've been doing this for almost 2 years. I actually 2 years ago, almost to this month, I started the first TNT episode. I think I finished it in July. So yeah, the show's 2 years old.
Yeah, actually, I'm curious, MtPain. Do you keep track of how many watts you played?
Absolutely. Since before Dean of Doom, I had a spreadsheet.
Oh my God.
I've been laying out the spreadsheet for probably 3 or 4 years. And actually, Dean of Doom originated from me giving grades to TNT and Doom 2 and the IWADs that I played. And thinking, man, I could probably expand this with little blurb, like descriptions next to it, so I can remember what those maps actually were. And then I accumulated more and more and more, and I was like, you know what, I could probably do a show on this. So I did. That was my COVID activity. Was Dean of Doom.
Yeah. We're actually brothers in that sense. I absolutely love keeping tracks of things on an Excel spreadsheet. I also keep track of how many watts I play. Something I noticed is that despite keeping track of the watts, the more you play, it becomes harder to remember specific watts, and even harder to remember a map on a specific one.
Hearing you young ones go through that same problem I went through years ago of like, man, it's getting harder and harder for me to distinguish what I did and did not play.
Yeah.
Like, there's times where people have been speaking to me and they're like, hey, have you played such and such .1? And I'm like, nah, I don't know about it. And then a month later, like, I somehow, like, come across it and I'm like, I totally played this 10 years ago and I just told someone I didn't play it. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, if you look for the It Games archives, you can find more or less a review left by Doomkid, some random one.
I know, totally. He's everywhere. He's everywhere on those old reviews.
Yeah.
If Doomkid is ever questioned by a Doom court of law, you'll be like, Doomkid, let me refer you to your statement, December 15th, 2004, you said of South Park.wad. This is so rad, Paul.
Dude.
Played the shit out of this.
Dude, if those id Games reviews hadn't been stopped in mid-2017, I probably would have been still filling them out the whole time. Like,
Oh man, yeah.
I miss...
There needs
That's
to
like
be...
one of the things that really make me sad.
Yeah, I agree.
need to like refurbish that. I know that you can sort of leave reviews on Doom World, but there needs to be a hub for reviews right next to the WADs themselves. Again, that's so vital.
It's the
I just happen to know of a magazine.
wait. Sorry, what'd you say, Endless?
Oh, I just happen to know of a magazine that does exactly that.
Oh,
yes.
See, that's what I should do. I should just like open up a notepad, and whenever I play a random map, I should just do it the exact same way I used to do it, and then just every time I get 50 or so like done, just call that like a file. Oh, well done, Endless.
You know how like YouTube is a place where videos get watched by people, and then right underneath the videos, the comments saying like what they thought of the video. id Games Archive used to be a place where you post your WADs, and then people would tell you what they thought of it right underneath the WAD.
Exactly. Even with it used to have the 5-star rating, just like YouTube. It was so similar back in the day. Like
it doesn't really have a place like that anymore. So, like, yes, Endless, you and I basically go through and describe as many WADs as we can and what we think of them. But we need a democratic platform for that, where people, like anybody, can just like where WAD creators can feel like their stuff is being seen all the time. No, and that's what the id Games Archive was, and I think we need a comparable platform to that. And I think, Doomkid, you are definitely the guy to help organize that because you're so omnipresent, and because you have Doom Shack. Obviously, we can't like move the entire archive. I don't know, like there ought to be like an IMDb for Doom WADs, where like you can't necessarily download the WAD, but you can look it up. I would love to take part in that. I would love to like create a little like a website with a rating system and all that shit.
Whoa.
Man, that would be great if we had a DMDB.
That's such a good idea. And it's like it's almost like a congregation of like not just id Games, but also like Doom Shack and a couple other sites as well. And
we could like I'm saying the Doom Wiki would merge great with that. Like all the entries they already have on WADs. We could there's a function for adding photos and stuff like that. I'm just spitballing.
The Doom Wiki actually has a little, it's not like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a template where every single article about a WAD gets a little small section on the bottom of the page that redirects you to a different review. I don't know if you've heard of the One Man Doom blog post.
Of course I have, yeah.
Yeah, that's something the Doom Wiki does. So I think it will work great with a modern downloads repository.
I totally agree. I think the thing is like not like I just recently learned how that I think his name is I would say KMXXE. That's not his name.
Oh yeah, I know.
KMX. I think it's KMXE12. I think it's KMXE12 because it's a Roman numeral.
I just say it, Kim and sexy.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Saying he can only review so many WADs, Endless, you and I can only review so many WADs. I think the beauty of IMDb is you get the masses kind of all get together in this one place and write their shitloads of words that are contradictory, leave reviews, and then kind of like a consensus is drawn from all of their participation. It might be a little bit late in the game to start something like that now, but it would be cool to have, for historical purposes at least, kind of a list of all the WADs that there are,
dude,
floating around that isn't on a defunct downloaded site.
In classic Doom, one thing I have learned to never assume is that it's too late in the game for anything, because so much I've been part of the community for over 20 years, and like every time I start thinking maybe this is the point where it's too late to do much more, something crazy new and cool comes. There was like the new design of Doom World, the WADazine, new features and different ports, like it just never stopped getting updated. It's amazing. So like I don't know, I think this is feasible. Like this is I'm thinking, like, you blew my mind a bit when you brought up the idea of an IMDb for Doom WADs. I was like, damn, that actually is a really good idea. And we could source it from, like...
hopefully somebody sees or listens to this podcast, and let's implement it.
You don't. The whole idea I have is it wouldn't be a WAD uploading site like you would in the same way that IMDb isn't a movie downloading site. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like it just lists, and like you can put like maybe one photo, like either the cover photo, or like a screenshot if it doesn't have a title pic, as like its backdrop where there'd normally be a trailer in IMDb. You have the rating. You have comments underneath from fans. You have general info, number of maps, the names of the maps, stuff like that.
Also redirect to different, professional reviews like us.
Yeah,
of course. Speaking of which, speaking of IMDb, somebody created an IMDb page for Dean of Doom.
Did they?
Oh, really?
All the episodes are there. It's not just like the show. It's got a sub listing of all the episodes and everything and their dates when they were released and stuff. I have nothing to do with it, but I
was just about to say somebody named MtPain.
Yeah, I was saying somebody created a MtPain27 IMDb profile like you can look up MtPain27. It'll say like writer, director, whatever, and the show is all there. And I swear I had nothing to do with it.
That's funny as hell, man.
Something I would do for somebody else, but not for myself.
That's cool. Like I'm really glad to see.
I think it doesn't have an actual rating or anything like that because you need like 5 people to actually vote on it, and I'm sure other than me and the person who created it, nobody knows about it. But it would be really funny. I also think it's hilarious that my first IMDb like profile or thing that I have on IMDb is as MtPain27 and not as Nolan Boyer, which is my actual name. Which I always saw myself creating under, but I guess life is strange.
Dude,
it works.
Doomkid. All right, a lot of my stuff is known as Doomkid, so you're in the same boat now, and a lot of your stuff is MtPain27. Same with Endless. The WADazine is always going to be by Endless. I don't actually know Endless's name. That's to prove the point. Like,
it's Christian.
Oh, okay.
Right, I looked you up recently, and I saw that.
Oh yeah, thank you.
It's funny.
When I determined that you. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I always had this weird thing. I think it's just because of being online since I was so young. But I always, like, in a strange way, preferred going by my alias. A guy who I used to talk to all the time named Morbid Twat, who was like a Doom community member back in the day. He was the first he said, like, man, that's, I can't remember what his actual name is. Frankie. It's like, Frankie's my slave name. But, like, my real name is Morbid Twat. Like, and I'm the same, like, Doomkid is my actual name. Like, Adam, that's my slave name. You know what I mean? Like, I never heard that phrase before he said that, but it made me laugh, and I was like, yeah, I kind of get it. Like, it's joking, of course, but, like, in a way, it's the name that I chose rather than one that was given to me,
Yeah.
Go ahead, and let's you first, but I have something to say about this for sure.
Oh yeah, the nicknames have the quality that they also kind of represent an idea of us. Like Doomkid has been playing since he was a kid, and I actually like my name Endless because I like the idea of producing content without end. And MtPain is because of MtPain.
It's because of TNT, like it's
TNT. It's like my main influence.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, no, that's they all represent. That's a good point for that. Yeah, I agree. Like, it's something that you actually picked to, in the same way an avatar can also represent you. It's a similar idea. Like,
yeah,
Frank Zappa.
Yeah. I love Zappa.
Fascinating topic because I create a lot of music under the name Nolan Boyer because I had I wasn't in a band. And the reason why bands work so much better than like people's names is unless you're like a megastar, it's because you can sell an idea much easier than you can sell an individual. Like, I don't know, like there's Johnny Cash. You think about Johnny Cash, he's more like an idea than he is like a person. I mean, Frank Zappa,
Elvis Presley.
Yeah, but I'm saying these are like icons. Unless you're an icon, it's very difficult to sell music. It's easier to be Queen or U2 or Pink Floyd. So I always thought like I could probably. Not only could I make music and get it to people easier if I changed my name to like something different than just my name.
MtPain is a good band name.
saying
Yeah.
that my from now on I'm going to release music as the MtPain project or MtPain because it's got it's got a association with me now that I have totally embraced. But it also, the thing with like working under a pseudonym is you can be somebody you're not. You can you can explore different facets of like your personality. I would make different music just by calling myself MtPain than I would by calling myself Nolan. Just because I don't have to be Nolan when I'm making music under the MtPain label. I can try different things. I can do whatever, and it's like you're playing a persona, and that's what MtPain is for me on Dean of Doom. He is definitely not me. He's a persona, and that's I think what gives you guys that feeling of like liberty to pony off of your slave name term, Doomkid. Yeah, it's also fascinating because I also have a very distinct identity with Nolan Boyer. I made movies in college and high school and a little bit after under the Nolan Boyer moniker, and I would want to be known as that, obviously, in filmmaking because you don't have pseudonyms in filmmaking, really.
Right.
And as a writer, I write as me, not as MtPain. It's funny because as the Dean of Doom, I write as MtPain. So it's strange. It's like subdivided in my brain based on what I call myself.
It's strange, isn't it? Because, like, we release music as a band name. We create a sort of in a similar way, we create a username for online. But when we write a book, that is, that's just your name. Like, you'd never say book by Doomkid or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that just doesn't feel right. Whereas I would never release a Doom map under the name Nolan Boyer. Would absolutely want to be MtPain because that's the realm in which I'm working. Like that's the medium in which I'm working is the
Back
online.
in the 90s, everybody used his real name.
Yeah,
no, and I'm saying they did it with Back to Saturn X too because like but there's like that's the thing is like when you want to adopt an air of professionalism, like this is a commercial product now. It's not Tarnsman, it's Richard Fry.
Right, exactly.
It's like more. I don't know. It kind of strips some of the history away from it and the kind of I'm certainly not criticizing the Back to Saturn X folks, but I don't know, like I'm saying for me personally speaking, purely from my own vantage point of I subdivide my creativities, my MtPain persona that writes about Doom is always going to be MtPain, and if I'm Matt Moore, it'll also be as MtPain. But I think it would actually help my music to work as MtPain too, because I've been stagnating with music for a good 2 or 3 years, and
it could be a new shot of life into your creativity.
Exactly, could shake things up.
Yeah, it helps set the mood.
It's also easier to sell. Sorry, that's the last thing I promise. It's easier
fine.
to sell It's easier to sell MtPain as like a band name or as a concept. It's like you can picture a mountain. It's hard to picture a person and all that they are. And moreover, who cares about Nolan Boyer? For real, like it's hard to give a shit about just some random name that you've never heard of. But if it's like ear-grabbing concept, like MtPain, the MtPain project, that's like it's like different. I don't know. That's why people use usernames on YouTube. I think.
See that
just to pique your interest.
People who I don't know that well calling me Adam, on Doom World always is like I don't think they mean they definitely don't mean anything strange by it, of course, but it just always feels a little weird to me, like it's almost too personal,
Yeah.
Whereas but then if you start to talk to someone regularly, of course, then it's like I felt the same way as a teenager. Pretty much, I had this thought of Adam Post is boring, but Doomkid, there's an air of, if you don't have the name especially, there's a bit of an air of mystery there. And it's funny because I think Endless might have about to mention this back in the 90s era of mapping and the CompuServe stuff. People would I wanted to hear if you had anything to say on that, Endless.
Oh no, I just was mentioning that back in the 90s, people really they didn't use nicknames that much. You go for the It Games archive, and people would put their full names, their home address, and even personal information.
Yeah. That was so funny. I actually, because it's funny, because on one side of the coin, I love the almost sense of mystery that comes with almost only knowing someone as a screen name, but at the same time, I like that, like, they're just divulging all this personal info, and like, in a way, it's kind of like, that's endearing in its own right. Like, it's just interesting, you know what I mean? Like,
It was a different time too.
right, exactly.
Something I love about pseudonyms now, though, and like online aliases, is that you get to peel off that layer of who are they as a Doom mapper, and who are they as a human being that you find out later on. Like, I don't know, it was just neat to learn like that Zach Stevens is somebody else besides Rivix, and Skillsaw has is a real world occupation and whatever in addition to being Skillsaw. It's like, I don't know, it's like Batman and Bruce Wayne. You want to find out who they are under the cowl.
Right.
It's like Eric Alm with Skype. You go.
Yeah, he doesn't have a username though, which is interesting.
Yeah, he doesn't, and you go to his wiki page and you realize this god of mapping is just a regular person too. He's actually, I think he works with medicine, stuff like that.
Works for the Swedish CDC, basically.
Oh yeah, imagine that. He really was busy now with the COVID thing.
I was gonna say he was
Yeah,
out curing
wow.
COVID. We're all begging for Scythe-X, and he's like, guys, I'm curing COVID.
Yeah. Okay, we can give you another year then.
You know what it
That
is?
works.
I would not be surprised if, like, 7 years from now, Eric comes back and is like, well, you know, I kind of was getting nostalgic about Doom, and I decided to make a few more maps. Like, I have learned, if there's one thing I have learned, like, no one ever truly escapes Doom's gravitate. Once you're in, like, once you circle Doom once, you never truly escape that. Like, you can orbit further away from Doom, or you can orbit really close to Doom, like the three of us do right now. But, like, you never really leave orbit, though. Like, once a map, especially mappers, like, once a mapper, always a mapper. There's a few times where I messaged people whose maps were from the 90s. I randomly sent their emails or, like, looked them up on LinkedIn or something and found that they were, like, engineers or whatever, you know? And I messaged them, I was like, I really liked your Doom WAD called so-and-so. And then, like, a week or so later, once in a while, I would get a response like, oh wow, like, that takes me back, like, and like, hearing them, seeing the nostalgia that it gives them in that moment, like, it reminds me, like, it's true, once a mapper, always a mapper, like, they remember that thing. It was when I bring it up, like...
Yeah, now that you mention it, I don't know if you know the history of the Odessa series.
Bob Evans, yeah.
Yeah, I think like half the maps, the WADs from the Odessa series were lost, and suddenly somebody made a thread on Doomworld asking about that, and Bob Evans just came in, say hi, and he posted the WADs.
Yeah.
No way. Like oh my, you know what?
I remember that.
He would be very interested in that. Know that Bob Evans is still around and kicking? That's wow.
Yeah.
Very exciting to him.
Oh no, this was years ago now, MtPain. This was in like 2013 or 14, I want to say.
I mean, it's not like he's completely gone though. It's possible that he could, still be around or still want to. I don't know. I'm just saying it's cool to hear people come back.
Yeah, it's true. Like you know, that proves the point even further. You know, a few years from now, if someone makes another thread asking about him, he could well post in there again. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that also reminds me of Christopher Lutz. You guys been checking him?
Yeah. Well, he was a No End in Sight, right?
Yeah, and he recently released a GC Doom map, Corruptor System. I don't know if you guys have played it.
No, I haven't played that one.
It's really fantastic, and I just love the idea of this guy. He's like a veteran, one of the earliest veterans, and he's still on Doom. He may take a few years, like Doomkid said, but Doom never leaves.
That's right.
I mean, somebody like Skillsaw started in 1998, as a teenager, I believe. And then made Alien Vendetta in like 2007 or 2008. came back to the scene and started making maps again, and like he's been kind of in and out since then. Like he takes a break for 5 years between Ancient Aliens and Heartland, but he's still around and he's still socializing. As long as you're socializing and at least aware of Doom, it's hard to escape it completely.
Yeah. Even people who do spend years away and don't even think about Doom for, like, let's say a few years goes by where the thought of Doom just doesn't really occur to them, they can still be really nostalgic for it once you remind them of it. It's like, oh yeah,
absolutely.
Like, it's, in fact, I remember there was people who were like, Doom was almost like an addiction for them that they had to forcibly give it up, like, because if they got into Doom, it would consume too much of their time because they were just that into it. Like,
that's Goose's story. I bet he forcibly had to quit Doom because he was so prolific for such a short time. I feel like he had to quit like it was like an opioid or something.
Yeah, for some people, I think it almost reaches, like, I don't want to say anything that may come off as anti-Doom because I love Doom, but I think sometimes because it has such a power as a game, it can be like a drug for some people, and they actually have to, like, limit their interactions with it or go cold turkey almost. You know what I mean? Like, they still love it.
Yeah, I actually did an article about it. Not exactly like a drug for us, but more like I tend to use Doom more like an escapism.
Right.
I enjoy the game on itself, but what really made me like play it daily is the fact that I can explore new maps every single day. I can always find a new level. I can always play a new wall. There's always something new coming on. And I treat the game like if it was like an Odyssey, if that makes sense.
Right.
Of course. I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah, it never ends, and that's what I really enjoy about it.
It's true. There's always more.
That's the reason why I responded to that, why people enjoy hard WADs or hard levels the other day or I guess it was like a month ago now on Doom World. They basically said that all I'm trying to do by getting better at Doom is unlock more Doom. The idea that there are worlds that are out there to be explored but are prohibitive. They're I'm not good enough. I won't be able to explore them. So I try to get just that little bit better so that I can kind of manage to see the amazing pieces that folks like Rivix and Death Destiny and Darkwave is a great example of a mapper who if I had booted up his maps right after playing TNT WAD, I would not have been able to survive. I needed to practice in Plutonia and Of Eternity and Alien Vendetta and Hell Revealed. I love how all these map sets kind of feed into each other too. Like seeing how Doom WADs like kind of talk to each other. One of the great joys of what I do. Seeing all the references and the influences and.
One thing that I wanted to say that kind of discouraged me from going down the path of, like, constant betterment. Like, I got to the point where I was pretty darn good and just stayed there forever. You know what I mean? Like, what led to that was there's already so much to explore in the region that I'm comfortable in that I don't even need to unlock that next potential level because I already have more than my plate could possibly ever fill. You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
So it's like, if I ever felt the need, if I somehow like was living in like slow motion time and could fit them all into one lifetime, I would then have the need to like upgrade my skill set. But as it is now, it's like, I invest enough time into it as it is just to enjoy it on the level I do now. Like, I couldn't bring myself to go into like full-on Iron Man mode, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Really.
But like MtPain, it sounds like you're getting there. Like, I think you're going to be able to safely say you can outdo me in the single-player realm soon. Like.
He already finished Swim with the Whales and Deuce Bolt in a single episode. I think that says a lot.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, for sure.
I've definitely got limits. I'm still scared of Stardate 20XT7, and I'm still scared of Sunder. But
oh god,
I honestly don't think I'm very divided about whether I'll even play Sunder, because I kind of always want there to be a one WAD out there that's mysterious to me. That's like, I'm probably never going to be good enough to play that, or that's like the one WAD I'm still building towards. And if I never reach it, then that's kind of good, because that'll give me something to like back into the game if I ever get burned out too badly to continue. Sunder might be that, because it's just so like think what you want of it. It's an absolute miracle that it exists. And it's just amazing, and
the craftsmanship is amazing for sure. Like
just the way that those levels look and the amount of like engineering that went into them, you can make a strong case for it being the best WAD of all time, just on the grounds of pure effort and just being a feat of artistic engineering. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I can't really stick up for the combat. The combat is kind of ridiculous and very very repetitive. Each his own. That's the other great thing about Doom, is that there's so much. Not only is there so much Doom, but there's so many kinds of sweet spots that Doom hits for people that you can. It's very very easy to be a fan of Doom once you discover it and really enter that world.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Tend to enjoy mostly vanilla and limit removing WADs, and there's plenty of those.
Yeah.
But if you let's say you like a modern, more GC Doom WADs, there's also plenty of those.
Yes.
Same goes for Doom, and same goes for, I don't know, any other format out there.
It's funny because there's actually so much for all formats that people actually get confused about what's for what. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of speaks to how much variety there really is.
Especially when the author forgets to say what kind of engine is needed on the text file.
Oh, man, it's such a pain.
So funny. It happens all the time.
By the way, this is my little dual map here. It's pretty old at this
one?
point.
You made this?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Kid
Duel Map 1.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that makes sense.
Kid humbly dropping the fact that we're playing one of his maps.
It's funny because it's like, it's already been like over 7 years ago now that I made this. Doesn't feel like that long though.
That ain't that long.
It's pretty good too.
Oh, I'm glad you think so. I
realized the other day that I've been out of college for 5 years, and that's pretty disgusting. Like, that's a pretty nauseating thought.
It goes faster and faster the older you get.
I'm getting that sense, and I'm not liking it.
How?
I kinda like...
Oh, sorry, I was gonna ask Endless, if you don't mind my asking. How old are you?
Yeah. That means 20. I just forgot for a moment.
I knew it. I knew he was much younger than us. I'm 27, Doomkid's 29.
Oh yeah,
I'm so close to 30 now. Well, yeah.
We both get to call you youngin' if we want. You have a bright future ahead of you, Endless.
You do.
Thanks. Hopefully, I'll be part of the community for a little while.
Yeah, I hope so too. Because ever since you joined, you've contributed quite a lot. So.
Yeah, I remember the early days. I was obsessed with doing everything except mapping.
Yeah.
I actually left mapping last.
Well, there's a lot of people mapping, there was other roles that needed filling, and you were, like...
That's Doomkid's subtle way of saying, don't you stay out of my domain.
No, if anything,
we don't need any more mappers clogging up the works.
If anything, I'm like close to retirement on the mapping front, like, please have at it.
You still managed to win a Kako, didn't you?
Oh, back in 2020 with Rowdy Rudy 2. Man, I was so happy the day that dropped. I was like, what?
Yeah, I remember that. I was also very happy because I always thought that you deserved it. You'd been so many years with the community, so consistent, it was time.
I'm glad that you think so, and it felt good. It was good to get it. I can retire now with that as my... I mean, it's funny, there was some WADs that won CAC Awards that I, like, helped with in subtle ways, but it didn't really feel like, you know, I was not a driving force of those WADs by any means.
You got a runner-up with THT Threnody. You contributed 3 maps to THT Threnody, and that got a runner-up back in 2015.
I loved that project. That project, like, I think a lot of the mappers who contributed to that, like, really wanted to put something strong into it. You know what I mean?
See, I didn't give that a very high grade, but I love that WAD. I think THT Threnody is just it came from such a wonderful place. It is full of like very different ideas. It's such incredibly unusual community project, but I love it to death in terms of its idea content.
That what deserves.
What were you gonna say, Endless?
That what deserves credit alone on the idea that it makes tribute to one of our biggest legends in the community too.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because you know, THT, I think it would be wrong if it was like an A+ quad. Like, in a way, it was sort of paying tribute to TNT because of Ty's involvement there and with the Team TNT, and it was the fact that it was a little sporadic and a little erratic, but overall really good, was almost like what it should have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it worked for the.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying it worked for what it wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Oh wow, we tied.
Oh, I got a half a win. I'll take it. I was gonna say in my review for THT, I thought about calling it. I thought about saying this in the video, but it didn't really make sense because that WAD was about Ty and the video was about Ty, so it ought to be end on that note. But I think THT Threnody might be the best TNT sequel, like the most faithful TNT sequel. Like, it is the closest to what TNT 2 would actually look like if it was made by Team TNT.
In spirit and stuff.
Yeah, like I like Revolution more, and I don't know about the Evolution, but I definitely like Revolution more than THT as a set of levels. But it's not as TNT like. THT though is very TNT like in that it's inconsistent, but is fleetingly really brilliant and full of different influences.
Yeah, I would agree.
I haven't played those.
You haven't played Devolution or Re-Evolution? Yeah, I haven't. I would say I haven't played them, but I haven't played them properly. I've taken a look at them, but I'm not familiar with them. Like, I couldn't tell you anything about their campaigns off the cuff.
Yeah, same.
See, MtPain, he's got
your friendly neighborhood MtPain.
Dude, you are like rapidly becoming the encyclopedia of Doom.
Trying to.
It reminded me of, in terms of finding old, lost, or seemingly lost WADs, Mad Butcher on Doom World.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I was gonna say, I bet Endless has looked around and knows Mad Butcher's contributions well at this point.
Of course.
He was like, I wanted to, back whenever like moderators still handed out custom titles, I really wanted to give him the title of the Keymaker, because he could literally make a link for any old WAD. You're like, there was an old WAD I played in '97 that had so forth and da 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 da, and then Mad Butcher shows up with the link, like, and usually doesn't even say. He doesn't even usually say much else. He's like, it's just a URL and nothing else, like quoting you.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, and for that reason, I always thought of him as the Keymaker. Like,
I would love to be that guy. That'd be my favorite.
Now that you mention it, there's also Drasa. I think you know him.
Oh yeah.
He also you can say any what you want, and he'll just pump you a link there, and it's gone. He doesn't even ask for a thank you, anything.
Yeah, I see. I love members who do that, man. That's just great.
Or heroes.
Yeah.
Really.
And I think MtPain, like, as he plays more, because most of the stuff you play, MtPain, all the names, I always recognize them as like somewhat, for lack of a better term, they're like mainstreamly popular classic Doom WADs.
I've been trying to get away from that a little bit, because I think GMP, Good Morning Phobos, is one that was not very recognized in the mainstream.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Tangerine Nightmare got a big boost from me playing it. I when I found it, I was like, why doesn't everybody have this on in their WAD library? Like, it's so good. I just fell in love with Tangerine Nightmare immediately.
Now that you mention, I actually remember Good Morning Phobos. I did a review for it some time ago. One of my first reviews for the WADazine now. And when I saw your video, I was like, oh, nice. I was happy because I knew that the video would call a lot of attention to the WAD. Full mega WAD done by a single person, and it was very obscure, but now it's a little bit more known. Mostly thanks to you.
Yeah.
And that's, I love that effect that we can both have, honestly.
You guys helped inject the life into it again.
For sure. I wanted to mention Doomkid. We talked in one of these other streams about. I'm definitely going to do it. By the way, I'm going forward with this plan at some point in the future, but I'm going to make that Drake O'Brien community project. the Drake O'Brien Ovational Megawad. Yeah.
DOOM.
DOOM. And it's going to be. If it was that was a double kill with the shotgun.
Wow, nice.
Okay. That could be in the style of THT Threnody without making it like a memorial to Drake O'Brien. People could make basically Drake O'Brien inspired maps like people made Pi inspired maps. THT. That would be a tremendously successful project. And actually, I was thinking like nobody does that. Nobody really makes like single mapper inspired projects. Like, why is there no Eric Alm styled Megawad? Why is there no
I'm gonna
styled Megawad?
I'm gonna head the Joe Ilya style Megawad.
Oh my god. Doom the way Joe Ilya did.
Dude, if Joe's out there listening, Joe, I love you. You're I'm sorry, I'm not.
TW Jid. Doom the way Joe Ilya did. But I guess what I'm saying is like that's a community project theme that is quite rare. Most people are like, let's make another Plutonia WAD. And don't take offense, Joshy. I love all of your Plutonia-like WADs, the PRCP.
Dude, Joshy is the Plutonia king, like...
No, I know. But I'm saying I love them to death, but it's also nice to get different kinds of community projects that aren't related to size of the mapping space or the number of things or the number of monsters or the number of vertices you're permitted. You know.
The 4 Monsters community project.
What about the 4 monsters, 6 items, 6 secrets, and 110 line depths community project?
Dude, 66 monsters, and then 6 secrets and 6 items on every level.
Oh my god, it's like...
Caco or winner immediately.
Oh my god. I think that genre kind of petered out with 1,000 lines and with 1028. I'm not even sure I like the Congestion series from what I've played. I didn't get past map like 10 or 11. You're kind of claustrophobic, and the gimmick kind of wears itself out after a while. It's just cool to see people, like, you need to give people some kind of direction with community projects, because otherwise just make their giant-ass maps, and it'll take 45 minutes to finish each one, and you got community just 4. So giving people direction to focus their energies gives a community project its flavor, and I actually love community projects, because they're the most fun to review. Getting a little bit of like flavor and difference each map as opposed to the same thing over and over again. It's really fun.
Yeah, now that you mention it, just wanted to make a quick note. There was a recent community project I participate, and I think you should play it. It's called Pandora, and the whole theme of this community project was to make maps inspired by shovelware maps. I don't know if you played shovelware before.
I've actually heard of that. That's a pretty cool idea, and I did like that idea when I heard about it.
Yeah, the idea is fantastic. I think it's the first time there's a community project like that. You should check it out.
I like a lot of shovelware stuff. You know, I've played through a lot of the D Zone and all that. I have a bit of a... Whenever I was young, I don't know if I've told this story on any sort of like Doom podcast before, but when I was young, in 2004, my family, my dad and the rest of my family, I mean, it was 2002, I was only like 10 years old. My dad was seeing a friend in Australia, and I was with him.
29, sorry.
Oh, whoa, what the hell? Oh, wow, good win.
I distracted you.
No, that was good. I was Gee, who's yeah, no, yeah, no,
Family
anyway.
in Australia, you said.
Yeah, it was. I was only like 10 years old. It was 2002, and he gave me a CD called Doom Heaven. It was a friend of my dad's, who he was visiting. You know what I mean? And he was really cool. His name was Peter, and yeah, it was it was cool going on with that Doom Heaven CD, even though it didn't even have that many good maps on it. Like I liked the fact that someone was cool enough to give me a CD with Doom WADs on it. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that idea. In the '90s, that would have been invaluable too.
Yeah, like
you can access them instantly.
he probably had that since the 90s. He gave it to me in '02. Yeah, it was really cool.
Great.
And I don't have it. I don't know what happened to the actual disc. I rebought the same disc on eBay because I missed it that much.
Tell you what, this is a very weird tangent, but I recently reacquired my family's PlayStation 2 from when I was a kid. We got that. That was my first actual console. My dad had a Sega Genesis from when he was in college, and I played that when I was really little. My first real console was a PS2. But anyway, my friend gave me a demo disc of like 10 different games. Like there was like one stage for every game on the disc, and there were 10 games. And I played the crap out of that demo disc. I still have it, and there's a kind of a it's like it's such a relic of a different time where you got these old games that are all their own individual thing, but this disc has 10 different. There's like one from Jak 3, and one from a Spyro game, and one from an ATV Off-Road Fury game, and one from Star Wars Battlefront. And it's funny because I used to I played the crap out of that one Star Wars Battlefront stage over and over before I even played the actual game. There's a weird attachment we can develop to these, like kind of castaway discs of, material.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Having a collection of like one-off Doom WADs on this Doom Heaven disc sounds very similar to like a limited access to a whole world of other stuff.
That's what it would have been like for a lot of players at the time. I was lucky. I already had the internet before then, so yeah. I was spoiled with stuff like Area 51 and Doom City and stuff like. So the Doom Heaven WADs, none of them really grasped, like, I don't remember a single WAD off that disc, other than some of the graphic ones. There was definitely a Barney WAD on there, like where you shoot, Barney replaces the shotgunners or the Baron or something.
I love you.
Yeah, you know. And but other than that, like, but it was just more like, wow, like a disc with Doom WADs on it. It's just that was really cool to me, and yeah, no, it's just really funny how those things go down, and it can, it's part of that is like part of what inspired my appreciation for shovelware stuff, and that's why the big vanilla WAD pack, of course, is hugely inspired by that love as well.
For sure.
Although it's more quality than shovelware, there is some shovelware in there, but there's a lot of good stuff in there.
There
too.
also isn't like Back to Saturn X on there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
because it's vanilla, right?
Anything vanilla. So it's basically like if you took the concept of what they did back then, where any WAD that was released, they would just find a directory from like. So they used to upload WADs to like college servers, like university servers and stuff. And they would take one of those directories if it had like, let's say, 2,000 WAD files in it. They would take that directory and just download it directly to the CD, and then they would just give you the CD. That's what the whole idea was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what DZone is basically, right? It's like 3,000 WADs that are just all in the same CD.
All compiled just from like those different college servers and stuff. But that's what I wanted to do now, because now WADs that are actually vanilla or like lightly limit removing only constitute like maybe like 30 or 40% of the actual released WADs. So that's what I do now, is I go and scrape through any of the ones that run in DOSBox. They'll get added, as long as they're not terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my only bar of entry. It's not terrible, and if it's vanilla, you're in.
Yeah, sounds like so Doomkid. Sorry, I wanted to. You asked me something on the chat, our Discord chat, before we went into this Kangaroo, and you asked me why I gave a B+ to UAC Dead, and I'm gonna give you the same answer I did with Doom City and why I gave that a C initially. I think I just gotta come clean. I think I'm just biased against 90s WADs. I think I'm just a 90s WADist. Well, I just don't like him as much.
You're a
I'm
WADist.
very, I am, but that was just gonna. I was going to transition directly from there into your title on Doom World is a
God damn it, Doomkid.
WADist old school sexual, and I want to
No,
know
it's
what
not
the hell
old
that
school
means.
sexual. It's old school lectual.
Old school lectual. Sorry. So tell me what exactly that means. Tell us all what exactly that means.
I think I read the story some time ago.
Yeah, Endless might have already seen the old thread it came from. Basically, in like.
We got to put it on YouTube where it's not real.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was like 2016, early 2016, something like that. I put a thread in blogs, which used to be a section like you couldn't make status updates on the old Doom world. There was a section called blogs instead that was devoted to those kinds of posts. And I put one there that was like, I don't know why, I used language as though it was like unacceptable to be like a vanilla fan and like primarily a vanilla fan. And I don't exactly know why I did that, but basically it was. Huh? What was that?
That guy's a joke because you love vanilla stuff.
Oh, I do. I was like, look, but it was almost like the way I framed it. Someone responded. I can't remember who it was. It was, I think it was RD and Do and J Mickle, and a couple of others were like, wow, like sarcastically, but also there was like a little bit of like genuine lovingness to it as well. It seemed like wow, so brave of you to come out as a old school actual in our year of 2016, like, and it was like. But then 40 Ounce posted and was like, I can't believe that you're all encouraging Doomkid's WADist views. And like, and because that thread cracked me up so much, the terms old school actual and WADist both like, you know, came together.
It's beautiful.
That was back when we couldn't have our own personal custom titles, right?
Yeah, custom titles were only able to be set by moderators at that time.
Which means a moderator gave it to you.
Well, actually, it was, I thought it was so funny at the time. You know, whenever being called a WADist, from that point on, anytime someone's like, oh, I don't like this type of map, I'm like, oh, they're WADist against that kind of map, huh? So,
That's a long-winded way of getting to say that I'm a WADist against 90s WADs, I think.
so because I was going to say, what was the one that you gave one an A-, and you're like, oh, even though I didn't like it that much, I had to give it that because it warranted it, because of the effort?
See, I did like Jade Earth the first time I played it. I just didn't need to play it twice, and the second time I played it, it was just significantly more tedious. Not that it was bad, just that it was very long and I didn't need to play it, you know, even within the same year as my first playthrough. Yeah, I mean,
but because of the effort, you.
Yeah.
So, in 1994, I imagine UAC Dead, and by extension of that, Doom City as well, which you've already redacted Doom City. But
Doom City was not. I mean, there were custom graphics, but it wasn't.
Oh no! It was so small, so small.
Sector truck, you know that.
Yeah.
The trucks made out of sectors is still amazing.
That's what I was gonna say. So, in 1994, the effort of UAC Dead, surely, you know, I'm like halfway joking with this, by the way, but I'm taking a jab at like, if one of them gets an A- purely based on the virtues of effort, why does poor old UAC Dead not? But you already gave me your answer. You're WADist against 90s WADs. So.
But I will also append to that showed the best parts of UAC Dead. There are kind of clunky, square, empty sections of it too. Like, it's not wall to wall, beautiful, detailed stuff. Because if it was all like the truck and the bathrooms.
couldn't be.
The nuclear plant. Of course, it couldn't be. It was vanilla and stuff. But there are it's paunchy. Now B plus is an incredibly high grade.
Oh, it is. It is.
It's an incredibly high grade for an Ultimate Doom map, like a not Doom 2 map from 1994. Like that's about as high as it's gonna get. I don't know what an A would look like.
Yeah, it would have to be
map.
incredible. Like, it doesn't exist probably.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Probably doesn't
actually,
exist. I say it's the best map from 1994 I know of, not related to the IWADs.
for sure, I agree with that. No problem.
that actually makes me curious. How did you came up with your scoring system?
Okay, well, that's an easy question to answer because real way I grade, going to be totally brutally honest, is just gut feel. If it feels like a C, I give it a C. If there's no scientific basis behind it. Recently, I've tried to get a little bit more specific. The criteria that I use, fun, creative, visually distinctive, all that stuff, those are actually like the things I like in a map. I like maps that
You factor those in.
pretty or look. Of course I do. I'm more than factor them in. I'm saying fun is essential. Fair challenge is pretty important. Visually distinctive, creative. Can't even remember the other one. That's how brain dead I am.
But
right
you
now.
factor in gut feel as well.
But I'm saying gut feel. I can do the gut feel thing now because I've given that many maps grades, and I just sort of know where to place them. Like I know what a B feels like. I know what an A feels like. An A plus, it has to be like a almost literally once in a lifetime type map. Like it's got to be very very special or just top tier and wall to wall, full throttle, enjoyable all the way. And that's why it's so rare. And you're not going to see a lot of A pluses like from now on because they're getting harder and harder to add.
People
On the other hand, have to be either just totally evil, totally just awful, unfun experiences, or just the lowest form of shit. And that's also extremely rare. It's so rare to see an F, like a legit F nowadays. So, and I guess basically the way I came with the grading system started with what am I giving these IWADs, like in my spreadsheet, relative to each other. Like what's an A in TNT versus an F in TNT? I would say that TNT is my baseline for the grades. Those grades are no longer accurate now. Like they're not balanced the same way. But I determined what I like in a map, basically from what I enjoy most from Doom 2, Plutonia, and TNT.
When you gave Rowdy Riddy 2 a B plus, for example, to me, I registered that as being like a very high score. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, it is.
and I, I think a lot of people, myself included, could almost sort of hyperbolically say 5 out of 5 or something like that. You know what I mean? And it almost has become the norm that like, if I like something enough to where I was like, damn, that was good, I'll give it a 5 out of 5, even though it really isn't. It's like a B, like if I had to grade it. But still, I don't know, my gut, like not even my gut feeling, but just my lazy, like, oh yeah, five stars on id Games was a good WAD. I enjoyed, you know what I mean? And like, you actually give a lot more deliberation. It feels like, even though it's gut feeling, you really got to make sure, like, if a WAD is like a B, it's good. It's a good WAD for sure. But like, to get into
Mega
that.
WAD grades, I don't grade by gut feel usually because it's like an accumulation of all those other small map experiences. I would say I pay a lot more attention to those, and those are like it pained me to not give Rudy 2 an A, and a great example is PhD Threnody.
It is a B plus though. Like, there's three other stories above that: A minus, A, and A plus. Like, and it's not in that top 3. Like, it belongs at B plus. Even though I'm.
And for some people, it's an A or an A plus, and for me, it's where it is. I don't really claim empiricism to my grades. I try to grade somewhat empirically, like. Like Alien Vendetta, I gave an A. Yeah, I gave an A, even though it probably today would be like more like a B plus or an A minus. Mostly, I gave it some historical heft, but it was also for me balanced out by the. It was one of the earliest ones I played, so it had a huge effect on me.
Yeah.
The thing about
I know Endless. That's true for Endless too. I know he was just saying how he loved Alien Vendetta, of course.
Yeah,
sure.
I can understand the idea that as you play more watts, some watts that let's say you gave a 10 out of 10, maybe now that you have more experience, you'll say, hey, maybe it's not a 10 out of 10, maybe it's a 9 or an 8.
Yeah,
Goes
exactly.
evolving like that.
Or even with something like Doom 2, I gave the iWads Doom and Doom 2 C's because they're like the baseline. C is good. I like C. I like Doom 2 a lot. I like Doom 1 a lot. But compared to how good the other ones are, just don't rank as highly. And I think that at the end of the day, it's not about demeaning the WADs to get lower grades. It's about making the A's really, really valuable and really mean something.
And it's funny too, because if you think of it in the most strict like school logic, anything a D or above is still a passing grade. Like the WAD still passed, you know what I mean? Like,
imagine playing an F
Megawad all the time.
Yeah, I was pretty bad in high school, especially. What were you gonna say, MtPain?
I said I don't think I'll ever play an F Megawad because I legitimately, even the master levels is not an F. It's like a D. It does a lot of things wrong, but there were enjoyable moments in there. The Delinquents WAD or Megawad Lunar Eclipse had just a bunch of garbage jokey maps in there, but and that had some redeeming moments that I legitimately enjoyed.
It still had its peaks.
Yeah. That being said, though, the ones that I've given lower grades than the iWads, I probably won't play again. Something like Hell Revealed, Memento Mori. There are WADs I probably won't play again, despite giving them decent grades, because they wear me out. I don't want to give spoilers for future episodes. I'm just trying to think of something like long set I played.
I didn't get to to Swim with the Whales. I only watched because we were in Decino's server and everyone was just having a conversation, of course. We didn't get all the way.
You're going to want to watch that part. It's a pretty fun part.
I need to watch past the halfway mark. That's all I've seen is like up to the halfway point of that video now. We should definitely talk, let Endless talk about his plans for his podcast and like...
Well, yeah, I did want to hear about that, Endless, because I saw your first installment, and I'd like to know where that's going, and I'll be invited.
Part of the reason I wanted to get the three of us together was to have an excuse to do a chat and frag that also, promotes your podcast, so people who listen to us ramble, maybe will want to come listen to you, and,
Yeah, my podcast, the idea is to make it about any Doom topic, I actually was going to contact Doomkid to be one of my first features, and that's how he told me about this podcast. I do want to make different episodes. I want to make them more on the analysis side of things. I want to really go deep into the history of the game, levels, authors, the devs, stuff like that. I'd like to have more featured guests, of course, but it's a bit hard to find people that are available due to the schedule conflicts. So maybe if I don't find guests, I'll start doing the podcast myself. I think I have more than a few topics to discuss, so it should be good.
Great. We'd like to help in any capacity we can.
Yeah, thanks. Just being on this podcast is a lot of help. I actually feel quite happy because I always felt that despite doing a lot of stuff on the community, I really wasn't contacted that much. Not a lot of people really talk to me on Doom War, other than the comments, So when Doomkid invited me to this was like, wow, first time. So I was very happy.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. It's good to have you here because it's funny. It takes a while to get to that point, I think, Endless, because that's one thing that does happen with me a lot is because my YouTube channel's not even that big, but in the realm of classic Doom, it's pretty known, I guess. And so I get PMs every couple days. I'll get PMs from people who I don't know who are just like, hey, could you, someone who I do actually know who's commented a lot, Puncher Sponge, recently messaged me. But there's a lot of people who are like, hey, can you test this level for me? Can you do it? And it's not it's funny, you will eventually get to that point, I think. And I think if you start a podcast and you have a few guests on, especially prominent mappers in the community, someone who's got a good, I think based on just our conversation, you have a good knack for conversation. I think you'll do well to get guests on who are popular mappers, and that'll really help put you where you belong in the spotlight. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be a good way to do it.
Yeah, mostly do this also to, gain a little bit more of collaborators for the WADazine. The main idea was to use the podcast as a spin-off while the WADazine is produced, because each issue can take months due to how hard it is to make them. So our community sometimes they get a little bit bored with the waiting times. So I wanted to make the podcast so they could have some content to consume while we are busy doing the reviews, the articles, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So funny. I feel like the chat and Frag between Doomkid and I, we both were going through droughts content-wise on our channels, and we did the Christmas match in the middle of a huge upload gap for me, and I think it was right before Doomkid dropped a bunch of analysis videos. So I the idea of a podcast as sort of a spin-off content and more pejoratively filler content is definitely familiar to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just enjoy talking to you guys. I love having friends who talk about Doom. I think that's just my favorite thing about this whole enterprise, and I'm just really grateful to be where I am.
Same. I'm really, really happy to be with you guys, especially Doomkid and you, MtPain, because you are like some of the community members that I look for.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
it's been good. Like I'm glad. I'm hoping that this will get people tuned into your podcast, Endless, and yeah, no, I'm looking forward to what you guys do with it for sure.
Thanks.
Well, I think we're going to pretty much wrap it up with that. We've had a nice sort of 2.5 hour conversation here. Oh, MtPain's going to edit it down a little bit, but yeah, no, that was really good. It was good chatting to you guys, and we'll have to do it again soon.
Thanks, man. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks for
Also,
having us,
nice to meet you, MtPain.
Nice to meet you too, Endless.